We created the mine to get resources. We created the house to get shelter. We created the farms to stock up on food and supplies. But that is not enough. We're here to reshape this world. We're here to conquer evil and install an era of peace and prosperity, and we can't do that alone. So today is a very important day. Today marks the beginning of a creation nation. A nation of people with a singular vision to change this world for good. So right now, we begin episode 6, the nation creation of Creation Nation. Let's go. To create a nation, we're going to need a lot of villagers, and I mean a lot. So the first thing we need to do is create a villager generation farm. I'm going to give you a step-by-step tutorial of the way that I do it. There are many ways to do it. I didn't come up with this build, but this is just the way that I do it and that I'm comfortable doing it. So I'm going to give you step-by-step how to put this together, and then we'll decorate it and make it fun like we did the rest of our build. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab some cobblestone for the build. My idea was to sort of make it out of cobblestone and then decorate around that, maybe with some tuff, maybe with deep slate. Haven't decided. We'll have to look and see how it goes. So I'm going to grab the building blocks and I'm going to grab the stone cutter that I have, and we'll head over to the building site and get started. And so the first thing we want to note about the site for this villager generation farm is that it needs to be greater than 100 blocks from any other beds and or villages. So I've seen videos that say it maybe needs to be less than that. However, just for the sake of safety, because the last thing you want is to set this thing up and for it to not work, I always try to pick a spot that's about 100 blocks away from the nearest bed. We'll still be able to see it up here on the hill, but this is the site that I've picked out for this. And so the idea will be, we'll put the build together here, and the villagers will be created, generated, and then I can bring them over to the mine. I've got a place that I've got in mind set up inside of the cave there that will be safe and fun for them. And we may build some villager houses out here and make a little village for those guys. But for now, I'm going to have a trading hall set up inside of the mountain, and we'll go from there. So once you have your spot, again, a good 100 blocks away, what I like to do with this build is build 2 levels. So the idea is that there will be like a basement holding cell here in the bottom, and then there will be a farm with the godparents up top. So we'll need to bring 2 villagers over, and they will sort of live in a farm type situation, and then the other villagers will be generated and they will fall down and come into the holding cell. So what I'm going to do next is just sort of do a build montage and clear out this area for the build. What I'm going to do is set this thing up for about 15 by 15, because I'm going to put a 9 by 9 farm in the middle of the floor. So these will be the dimensions for the building here. I'm going to clear this area out. I should note here, you do not have to cut your building into the side of a mountain. That was just a personal choice. So if you have a big flat area, you can skip all this digging and just go straight to the building part. I'm just doing this for looks and for the vibe, right? All this dirt will go to use, filling in the holes in the valley. This valley, for whatever reason, is gorgeous, but it is full of those pits to fall into. So I want to go in and fix all of those so that we can build on them later. Okay, so that's 15 by 15, and That's a big area. You can definitely get this done in a more compact fashion, but I'm not going for compact. I'm going for style. And so for the Creation Nation, I want the godparents up here to have a nice, spacious mansion looking area overlooking the valley. And now we're ready to sort of start building from the floor up. So basically what I want down here is the basement I want to be 4 blocks tall. Technically twice as tall as it needs to be. Make sure we don't get spawns in here when we go up to sleep. Okay, so once I have the frame done, what I also want to do is go ahead and set up the second level up top. And that level is going to involve having a farm, probably carrots. So I want to go ahead and have those growing while we're building and polishing up the holding area in the bottom. Quick build tip: whenever I'm building over a drop, I always hold down the crouch button. There's a couple different ways you can do that. I went in, one short. I went in and changed some of my keybinds to something that I think works a little bit better for me. So the way you do that is you go to options, go to controls. Nope. Yes, controls, keybinds, and so sneak is normally shift, and I changed that to F. Also changed sprint to R, and let's see, I changed a couple of others. Drop selected item. I wanted to put that way on the other side of the keyboard. It normally defaults to Q. And the only other thing I think I really changed was the toggle perspective C. So I wanted to be able to do all those things with my left hand quickly. Sneak, sprint, and not throw things accidentally. Having that there with Q, I found that sometimes I was hitting Q, and if you do that, you can throw something really nice and expensive into lava if you're not careful. So do that one time and you'll change your keybinds. But anyway, that's how I have mine set up. But you can also set up the sneak to toggle. So you hit it once and you sneak. But if you're sneaking, you will not go over an edge. Okay, so that comes in handy in many different instances and cases here. So okay, so on the second floor, we're going to have a drop down area. I'll explain how this works here in a little bit. But also, you're going to have or want a 9x9. Doesn't have to be 9x9, but I'm going to put a 9x9 farm. And because I'm going with the full 9x9 that you can get with 1 square of water, that's why I made the entire building 15x15. Enemies came to visit the nation to try to stop us. Don't know what happened to the banner carrier. He might have fallen in the cave. Who knows? They do crazy things. The reason that we're putting a farm up here inside of our farm is that for 2 villagers to generate a 3rd villager, a couple things need to happen. Number 1 is they need to have a certain amount of food in their inventory. And so what we'll do is I'll plant carrots, and that way we can put a farmer villager up here, and the farmer villager will constantly be harvesting and replanting the carrots. I like to use carrots because when you have a fully harvestable carrot, when it's fully grown, the only thing that you will get from it are more carrots. So you could go with potatoes, but then every now and then you get a poison potato. You could go with wheat, but then you get seeds. Same thing with beetroot, you get seeds. So for me, carrots is a great way to make sure that that the only thing they have in their inventory is what they're supposed to have, which is food, and that way the farm doesn't break down the line. So if they don't have enough food, they will not generate that third villager. But since we're up here building, I thought I'd go ahead and plant the carrots. I like to go ahead and get those growing and started, and that way we'll have plenty when it comes time to get the farm going. Okay, so the next mechanic to be aware of before I bring the villagers in is that if you have 2 villagers, again with sufficient food in their inventory, they will generate a 3rd villager if and only if there are enough beds for the 3rd villager, right? So each villager will claim a bed, and then if there is a 3rd bed, the villagers will think, hey, we have enough room for another one. Let's generate a 3rd villager and have him join the crew. So what I like to do for this farm is put a little bed room right over here. Now here's the trick, is the villagers think they can get to these beds because there will be a trapdoor here. But instead of actually getting to the beds, we'll have it set up so that only the new villager, the baby villager, the 3rd villager, will be able to get under this little area. So to set this up so that it works properly is that you want to have a trapdoor here, and then I'll put another one here. And what that allows us to do is to close this. The villagers think that they can access these beds in here because, again, they see trapdoors as blocks that they can move through, but also on top of. It's a weird mechanic. But when we close this, the villagers won't be able to actually walk through. And so the 2 godparents will not be able to get in and fall through this hole. However, the baby that's generated will try to run in here and get to the beds, jump on the beds, and when they do so, they think they'll be able to run across this trapdoor, but they will actually fall down into the holding portion. And then, of course, the godparents will be back to 2 villagers, and so the process after a certain amount of time will repeat. So again, they'll have 2 villagers, they'll see 3 beds, and they will generate the 3rd villager, and that will be on repeat. So that's the way this farm operates. And so we'll bring some villagers in. Once I box in these beds, the last thing we want is to have something bad happen to the godparents. We want to make sure they're completely safe, that everything is well lit, also that they can't break the crops, so that process continues. So a lot of things to double check on, but this is how the farm should work. So again, this is what the bedroom looks like. Make sure there's some lighting in here, just so that there's no spawns by accident, but that should be more than enough. So again, 3 beds, they'll be able to see those beds, think that they can walk through here like this and get to them, but then again, they will not. Now, the other thing that you'll notice about this setup is that if the baby villager walks through here, then that villager will take damage when they hit this block right here, right? Which is not something that we want. So what I like to do is to sort of dig out a bit of a landing pool, if you will, and that way when they land, they will just hit water and there will be no fall damage. That means they'll be 100% ready to go. And it sounds like there's a cave right behind us here. Villagers are not usually affected by mobs unless they can see them. Then if they see them, they will panic and try to summon an iron golem, which we would not want a bunch of them running around in here either. So we need to make a couple trips with water buckets. Let's see, I just want to make sure. Maybe we go forward one more. There like that. That'll be our little landing pool. Yeah, so need to make a couple trips with water, make sure we have enough. So yeah, this building will be visible. We'll need to dress it up, detail it, make it look nice. Right now it's just a cobblestone box, which is extremely unimpressive. So yeah, just building this right now, and then we'll detail it, make it look nice. I promise. Stay tuned till the end of the video for the finished build. All right, so there, we should be able to get water. Beautiful. So let's test that out. So now when the villager that has just been generated tries to come through and get to the bed, they will walk through here. Whoops. Forgot how I did this last time. Yeah, this should definitely work. I'm assuming. There we go. Falls down, hits the water. Good to go. Something else that I like to do down here in the holding area is this can fill up with villagers waiting for jobs very quickly. And so what I like to do is sort of give myself a little bit of a buffer between the villagers that will be in here and the door. And that way, if I get a villager, here in the area where we're ready to go, then I don't have to worry about 5 of them rushing out all at the same time. Also, it gives me a little bit of a place to put some lighting, make sure we're well lit in here. So I want to get the farm up and running, and then I'll put in windows and other accoutrements for the build itself. That needs to be down. Make a couple gates, and that will allow me to bring them in one at a time without them escaping. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll maybe put in some windows. If I had more iron, I would do iron bars, because this is going to have sort of a castle vibe to it. But I might go with like the fence windows like I used on the beef and leather farm. We'll see how it goes. But trust me, this is not going to be a box for very long. I just want to get the farm up and running so that we don't make this great and amazing build and then find out that I have to make some sort of adjustments because something changed or didn't work or whatever. Villagers can be pretty unpredictable. Anyway, let's bring in a villager or 2 and then see where we're at. Let's talk about moving villagers. So there are a couple different ways to move them. Mine carts are an option, but they require a lot of rails, a lot of mine carts, some redstone, and some other things that you probably will not have early game. There's a couple of other ways. I think the easiest way to move them is via workstation. Just like a bed, villagers will link to a workstation and try to work that job, unless they're what's called a nitwit, and certain villagers cannot have a job. They cannot get a job or work a job. So you have to make sure that the villager itself can have a job, and then it will link to a workstation. That only works during working hours. Villagers in the morning like to go talk to each other in the town square. Villagers in the evening like to go talk to each other in the town square. And then they like to go to bed. So if it's time for bed, they will not follow a job. They will not follow a workstation. So you kind of have to do this in the middle of the day is peak. Another way to move villagers is a boat. If you put them in a boat, then you can row the boat. You can even row the boat across land. So what I like to do is use workstations to move villagers and then have a boat on the bar just in case they go rogue on me. And that way I can throw the boat down, sort of bring them back around. Maybe it gets late in the day while we're moving and they try to go back to the village and find their bed. Whatever it is. So yeah, workstations and boats are the way to go for me. So because some of the workstations like this stonecutter are expensive, I basically just like to make a bunch of composters. They're just slabs. So as long as you have wood, you've got what you need to make a composter. Very simple, just like that. And again, boats are just made like that. Is that my first boat? Wow, no way. No way, get out of here. Okay, so. All right, so we should be ready to go. We're going to bring the villager in here. We can make that a workstation for them. The thing about workstations is you don't want to have them in the middle of the crops because they will do this thing where they get on the workstation and then jump off and then break the crops. So we don't want that. Another issue, they will sometimes randomly link to workstations that you have laying around. Like if you have barrels for decoration or whatever else, sitting around in your base, they will sometimes link to that. So you have to be careful. We have 2 villages in range. I'm going to go to the one over here and try to grab villagers from over there. Right at the very beginning of the world spawn, make sure this is closed. The very beginning of the world spawn, I blocked a few villagers into houses, and that way they couldn't get hurt if I was over here working at night. So we should have at least 2 villagers from which to make our godparents for the creation nation. So, man, that thing looks ugly. We got to get that fixed up. All right, it's getting a little late in the day. When the sun gets a little low like this, you run the risk of the villagers not linking to the workstations and not following along. So I'm gonna wait. I do keep hearing a villager over here, and I'm not sure where that villager is. I hear I hear him in this area right here. So I feel like I'm right on top of him. And it sounds like there's multiple. Is it possible that oh wait. Oh, there they are. Look at these guys. Is that one person? It's one villager. Come on up, bud. Yeah, a lot of sometimes they will fall into these little holes. So let's see if I can get him out here to link to this composter. All right, so once they see the job, he'll link to it. He'll become a farmer. You don't need to worry about the trade at this point. One of the things I like to do is sort of have a couple of these going, and that way if I place that composter there and he doesn't do something stupid like fall in that cave, then I break that. He will sort of look for the job again, come up here, yep, link to that. All right, then I need to, which way should I bring him? I guess down this way. Bring him over here, sort of break that. I should do. See if I can get him in the boat. Nope, never mind. So boats are good for going downhill. There's no fall damage unless it's from a specific height, but that's a weird Minecraft mechanic. So as long as you're coming downhill, you can use a boat to sort of move them a little ways. A little ways. Not a long ways, but a little ways. The only thing you want to be careful of is getting them out of the boat. You don't want to hit them accidentally. Mainly because you don't want them to take any damage, but also an iron golem might see it and make you hit the respawn button. Basically, the idea here is just to keep placing the workstations. And then breaking them, and he'll follow them. So again, you really only need one if you wanted to. I find it easy to kind of set up a couple in a line and then go back and break them. as he's headed that way. Come on, buddy. You will be the first godparent of Creation Nation. This is an exciting moment. Can't tell if he's impressed with the digs or not. Looks very interested in the ground. What's going on? Head up this way. There we go. Come on over here. Yep. Come on over here. Yep. And we want to get him, see how it's getting late in the afternoon. We want to get him close enough to where he doesn't start running for the bed, which is getting close. Yeah. See, at this point in the afternoon, he's going to head back. He's going to try to head back to the village and talk to his friends. So he's not interested in working a job late in the day. So the one thing you got to be careful of is time of the day. I sort of saw that one coming. But yeah, and so basically once that happens, you bring him over here and you just kind of park him for the night. He's looking a little nervous right here on the edge of the forest. All right, good morning, godparent. All right, ready to work. Okay, let's go up the hill. This should work. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. Keep coming. Here we go. Careful. Okay. Now this one. And then lastly in here. Boom. All right. So villager number 1 is in the farm. And see, they will try to walk through there. They think they can. So you got to make sure this trapdoor is down, or they will immediately just go right downstairs. Something else that I normally do is put a slab on top of the composter. I'm not sure if that prevents them from using it. But if they use it and he throws the food in, then he's not having it in his inventory. So I always try to cover that composter up. It's a little early. Oh, is he going to try to come in here and... Yeah, no, we're not doing that. As promised, they will randomly grab workstations. This is a cartography table. Yeah. So if their workstation's laying around, they will link to them instead. Lovely day for a boat ride across the meadow. The sheep and the chickens just wandering around. The bees are buzzing. The chickens are clucking. Come on. You know you want this job. Here we go. Nope, we're going to go to this job. We're almost there. We're almost home. Godparent number 2. Where'd he go? There he is. Okay, he's in the okay, don't do that. Now this is the problem. Be careful, ready with the boat. All right, now we're both in. Okay, so we have both of the godparents in the farm. What an ordeal that was. So what we'll do now is make sure it runs before finishing the actual build itself. So what I'm going to do is get as many carrots from the farm as possible. So what I usually do is give about a stack to each villager and just kind of throw a few on the ground, and you'll see they pick those up And then I give a few to this guy here. And they grab those up. Okay, so there they go. You'll see some hearts, and assuming the bed is set up properly and everything else is working fine, then we'll get a third villager. There he is. There he is. What they call a baby villager. Now, baby villagers, their main thing is they love jumping on beds. After he celebrates his creation, he will run in there and try to get to the bed. And then fall into the little area, the holding area down here, and will be down here waiting for us. And then he'll run around, and that process will repeat. And eventually this area will be full of villagers ready to work, ready to become members of the creation nation. Now that the farm works and we've checked it all out, then what I will do now is finish up the build, and then we'll make this look nice for our two creation nation godfathers. That's exciting. And we already have two new villagers to join Creation Nation. So we've already doubled in just a few minutes our number of villagers. Our nation is going to be huge, absolutely huge, soon and very soon. Look at them go. Since I have a little extra iron, I will use those to create iron bars and use those for the windows since we're going for a castle vibe. I'm also going to use an iron door, and we will open that iron door with a lever. I think the easiest way to take the villagers from the farm to their new home when we're ready for that is going to be to flip that open with the lever, leave that open, throw a boat right out here, and then let one villager out at a time, and then they will run into the boat on the way out the door, and then I can just row them all the way down the hill and then use workstations to get them where I want to go. But this thing is already cranking. We got 3 villagers down here now, so this is working great. So now that the base box is complete for the farm, we're gonna actually build around it and make it look nice. I will leave this open so that I can come in and put in the windows where they need to go at the very end. So I'll leave those iron bars here for that. But to make this look nice and look sort of like a castle fit for the godparents of Creation Nation, I need to go and get one of my favorite blocks to build with down at the bottom of the world called Tough. And thankfully, I dug up a bunch of Tough earlier when I was down here looking for my first set of diamonds. I'm going to grab everything that I have down here at the bottom and hope that is enough to finish the build. And let's go. So the idea that I have here is I want to use the Tough blocks, the Tough variants, and sort of build around the box and therefore give it depth, because the box is just flat and boring and quite honestly it's terrible. I'm getting anxiety just looking at it right now, so we need to make this thing look better. What I usually do is when I'm building with Tough, where'd it go? There it is. What I usually do when I'm building with Tough is use the 3 main types, and I guess there's several, but these are all the variants that you have access to when you put the tough block into a stone cutter. So I like to use the bricks, the polished, and then just the regular tough, and so sort of do a mixture of the three. So it's basically tough bricks with the other blocks for accent. So it'll look sort of like that, where I will have some of the cobblestone still showing, to give it that depth and texture. I think it works pretty well with each other. They're close, but not the same shade. And so I'll go around and do this on all four corners first, and then connect across the top, and maybe put I thought about putting a carport here, basically. So like an exit point or a little arch that comes out, so that there's like a nice covered area for the villagers to come out of when they leave. Trying to go with a random look instead of sort of an established pattern, and that's almost harder to do because your brain just wants to put things kind of in the same place and order them, and that's just not what I want. Okay, that's the four corners. I think what I want to do is a layer of 2 across the top. So what I want to do now on each side is put a stripe right down the middle. The stripe right down the middle, and then sort of round off the corners like so. So that gives it like a double arch look, right? And so what I'll do to add even more blending and depth to it is use some walls. And for the walls, I'll use the same variants, same tough variants. Matter of fact, I can even take these and just turn them into walls. So the way I'll do that is come into each of these arches here and just sort of, again, randomly place the variants around the arch. So placing those walls in there, that puts 3 layers of depth. So you have the bricks, you have the walls, and then you have the inner cobblestone. I'm gonna go ahead and put the windows in while I still have access to the top layer of the farm. Okay, perfect. So plenty of windows and a beautiful view of this tree's got to go. A beautiful view of the valley for the godparents of Creation Nation. What I'm going to do next is bring some upside down stairs all the way across the top to sort of flare out the top edge, and then put some blocks and walls on top of that to give it more of a rampart type view. Okay, so those upside down stairs add really a 4th layer, 5th layer of depth, because you got the bars, cobblestone, the walls, the bricks, and then the stairs that stick out. And I'll put some lighting up here, that way you don't have mobs up here walking around. Okay, so far, just finished the build. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new villagers ready to become part of the Creation Nation. We're going to put some of these fine folks to work in the next episode. But for now, let's go ahead and check out the build. Sort of run back over here, get somewhere. Get some distance to look at this thing. Oh boy, there's the build. Look how majestic that is. Castle up on the hill, looking strong, looking absolutely strong. This is the house that Creation Nation will come from. So we already have villagers coming out through the farm. We're going to grab those, bring those over, and put them into the trading hall that we'll build in the next episode. So thank you for watching. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss the next update, the next installment in Creation Nation, and we'll see you next time. Oh yeah, have a good one. Be good. Peace.